Got audio, video too? All right. Hey folks, Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. Hope you're having a great weekend out there. This weekend we're recording out of Prescott. We're actually at the Founding Fathers Collective. We're sitting in here in a top secret room in the library. I've got Grant Cazeta. He's over here on my left, and he's going to be joining us. We're going to be talking, I think what we've kind of morphed into today is kind of a modern warfare scenario and war stories. And the reason we're going to do that is not only do I have Grant Cazeta, who's awesome ranger and sniper school, and was it six?
Yeah, 6 deployments.
Six deployments, 4 as a sniper. Thank you for your service, man. But we also have Delta Dan, who is so dangerous he's off camera right now and forever shall be. So Delta Dan's going to be joining us here. Hey, say hello.
Hello, how's it going?
From Incognito.
Incognito, in the dark.
We tried to get the voice thing where it goes like, sounds like Yoda.
Batman?
But yeah,
Batman's good.
Our producer couldn't work that one out for us. But next time we'll protect your identity.
I like it.
You're screwed right now.
I was going to pick my voice.
You
He's
make him like
actually
a female voice or something? That'd be cool.
Yeah, well,
These
his
days.
voice is it's affiliating with the female voice, so it's the same thing.
I actually have Mike Tyson voice who's covering up for me right now, so I don't sound so ridiculous.
Perfect.
Awesome. Hey guys, first we talked about doing the show. We wanted to talk about long range shooting, ballistics, and that would be great to talk with Grant about snipers, and since he was a sniper in 4 different deployments, about how you're taught and stuff like that. But then as we're sitting in here in the pregame, and unfortunately you don't get to watch the pregame this week online, but as we're sitting here in the pregame, it kind of got into, wow, something I think is very interesting also. So I want to go that direction. And that's kind of the modern warfare, what's out there, what's available, what you guys had in the field. So Grant, let me just start with you. You were back in Afghanistan, right?
Yeah, Iraq and Afghanistan.
In both of them. Which one were you there? 2 in each one?
2 in Iraq and 4 in Afghanistan.
Okay. All right. So yeah, which one did you like better?
There's a lot of history, and they're both unique theaters of war. I really think the more beautiful place was Afghanistan. Like catching sunrises in the back of a Chinook is pretty incredible. So
Giant mountains.
yeah, there's a lot of walking. There's a lot of sucking at 11,000 or 12,000 feet and snow and all sorts of stuff.
So, what is modern sniper capabilities? I mean, as you know, anybody with a YouTube channel and a 6.5 Creedmoor is a sniper. That's all. They have a phone app.
Yeah.
And so that's all it takes. I don't know why the Army just didn't give you a phone app and put you out there, right? So, explain a little bit about sniper school.
Yeah. So, I went through the big Army sniper school in 2009, I think. And,
Where's that at?
I was in Fort Benning, and then I went through the special operations one at Fort Bragg in 2011. And so I was actually the first class in the special operations course that went from kind of the more, hesitate to use the word like archaic, but a lot of the old curriculum that was taught Vietnam era up until really the early mid 2000s, and then transitioned into a lot of the newer curriculum, which is, your little Palm Pilots, your phones, all the technology that was catching up to the craft of actually shooting and data collecting. And so I was in that first course, and that was about a 9-week course. And so I definitely learned the old school way of jumping yard lines and collecting all your data in a dope book, and then all the new stuff, which was all the, like you said, pick up a phone and anybody can become a sniper, which is actually pretty incredible. It makes it very easy to teach people these days, at least that level of the skill set. So
everything but how to hide and unsteady positions and wind calls, right?
Yes. Yep.
Wind is your friend?
Yeah.
Never?
Always. Never. Most unreliable thing you got.
Well, yeah, but that's what makes it reliable, is its unreliability.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that going for us.
Sure. Yeah.
So what was the arms that you actually were using in Afghanistan?
I had an SPR, which is like a little 5.56 gas gun sniper rifle, probably my favorite rifle. SR-25 Knights Army.
Yes, the SPR was your favorite sniper rifle?
Yeah, by far.
And
it's the most versatile, just because most of my operations were all at nighttime. And so the ability to climb or transition into room clearing and some of the other stuff that I might do on a ancillary type of job as a sniper, I was still able and capable to accomplish that, and then still able to engage pretty accurately out to 600, at nighttime. So, yeah, so that by far was personally my favorite rifle.
So how small was this rifle?
How small was the rifle?
Yeah.
I think it's like an 18-inch.
So
Think of an
18-inch
AR-15,
barrel,
18-inch barrel. It's very accurized.
With a silencer?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then
18 inches with a silencer, or 18 inches overall barrel length?
18 inches plus a silencer, and then a little Night Force 2.5 to 10 power scope, and then we had an SR-25, which was a 308 or 7.62 platform.
That's basically the Model 700.
No, this was the gas gun.
Oh, the gas gun.
So it's So had that, and then the 110. So we had two different 7.62 capabilities in a gas gun. Then we had a bolt gun that was a 308. Then we had a couple bolt guns that were 300 Win Mags and 50 cals and 3.38 Lapuas. And so kind of just depending on the mission, choose the rifle for the mission, and then a couple pistols for sidearms and stuff. So
did you have your own rifle? Like this was your 308, your 300, your 338 Lapua?
Yeah, I did. So every one of us had our own rifles in the armory that we would just take overseas with us, and you just store it in your room, and then when you leave for a mission that night, you just choose the gun that was best suited for the mission. So
always at night?
Probably 98%, yeah.
Yep. And so after a while, didn't the bad guys realize night times they should just go to sleep?
Yeah, they do. That's the best time to catch them. So,
and then how is it different in Iraq?
Iraq is a lot more urban, and so you're fighting in exactly that. It's an urban warfare. So I mean, there's cities in Afghanistan, but a lot of stuff might be operational in the city, but then most of it is outside the city and more of a. I mean, you're talking very archaic, 500, 600, 700 years ago type of structures that are very fortified. And I know Delta Dan over here can talk about from his experience as well. But
did the 5.56 have an issue with that?
Like
penetration?
Yeah, you're not penetrating any type of hard structures with really any of those rounds. Maybe if you're lucky, it's somebody on the other side of a window or a door, but don't plan on any of your rounds penetrating the walls. So you're talking,
because it's mud,
2 or 3 foot thick. Yeah. Mud walls. They're 20, 30 feet tall. So Iraq is just more urban. It's a lot more dynamic. A lot more like follow on targets where you're just hopping building to building to building. That was a fun time. So
very cool. So what is the ammunition that they use for snipers in that kind of a situation? I know that, well, I don't know. My question is it different from your typical military force on force ammunition? Are you able to use different things because you're fighting terrorists, not an army?
At certain levels within the community, yes, there's like certain ammunition that is able to be utilized. We primarily used 77 grain for 5.56, and then 175 grain for 308, and then I think it was 190 for 300s, and eventually when we got to like
all FMJ, or were they target rounds? Or
no, they were like boat tail hollow points.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think
just very accurized precision rounds.
Personally, for me, the 300 Win Mag with the 190, I think is a great combination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've kind of stepped it up to 220 for Norma and some of the other ones. So I know a lot of the testing on the special operations side.
Well, Norma's a little bigger cartridge.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then they were looking at 300 Norma and moving away from 300 Win, and then going to like a 220 or 230 grain burger. And so I was there when it was 190 grains, and we did a little T&E or testing evaluation for like the 220s and 230s
on the Normas, because that the 230s, 240s on the Normas are about 2,900 feet a second.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we torch out our barrels quite a bit with the 300 Win Mags, and so we had accuracy internationals, and we in one training cycle you pretty much torch your barrel out, and then you have to
how many rounds is a training cycle?
Well, you're always staying proficient on all your rifles the whole 4 or 5 months of your train up.
All right. So say for the 300 Win Mag.
So 300 Win Mag, you probably, you want to swap out your barrel at like maybe 2,500, nothing more.
25 rounds.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Folks, Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. I'm here with Grant Quesada, Founding Fathers Collective. We're going to be talking about some great stuff out here and some adventures with Delta Dan as we come right back after this.
All right.
I think you got 12. I left 12 on the floor, man. 12 seconds. Yeah, it's unprofessional.
Shameful.
Can't get it back.
Plus or minus 2 seconds.
Let's redo the first segment.
Should you go over on the next one?
Getting my 12 seconds.
You said 12 seconds. You said 30 seconds or how long?
We'll wait for you. I can talk. I can record with him.
Sounds good.
You need to go do something. Go do it.
Actually, okay, because it's 10 minutes.
You're a free man, man.
I do have to take a leak.
You take a look next.
I will. We'll switch out.
I'm gonna actually switch to the camera when he's talking, or to the empty chair when he talks.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. We're gonna have 10 minutes and 45
This would be hard. I'm gonna have to not look at you when you're talking. Look at the empty chair.
You look at the empty chair. That's really hard.
So I'm not ignoring you.
It's okay. Let's see how it is.
10 minutes.
No, 9:42. Second segment.
It's 10 minutes.
No, because we have the 1 minute. The 1 minute sponsor shot. Yeah, there you go. Hey, folks, welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. Philip Naiman. Check out the podcast at firinglineradio.com, firinglineradio.com. You can get this really cool shirt here. Delta Dan's over here on my left, your right, if you're playing along at home. And he likes the shirt. So we're going to go with the Delta Dan's endorsement of the shirt, right?
Delta Dan approved. Absolutely.
Delta Dan approved. I'm going to put
Yeah.
that on this sleeve. Got
I
the
think
Firing
Grant
Line
actually
logo
likes
on
it.
this side. On the left, we'll go Delta Dan approved on the right.
I like it.
That's on the next version. Writing that down. Yeah.
Inside
Hey,
joke.
it's awesome. It's going to happen. So this is interesting because we want to have you explain stories that you've lived through, and apparently it's been quite a few of them, and it's a good thing that you've lived through them. I mean, I think that's important. You know, it's a shorter story if you haven't. So
And sadder.
it is
Just saying.
all the way around. It wouldn't be Delta Dan approved. So let's just go back to your first beginnings in SF.
Okay. So that's when I first got started at the unit.
Let's do it.
Well, I think like everybody, when you make the step to go to something dramatic and large like that, you want to go with your best foot forward, and you think, okay, I'm as good as I'm going to get. I have to go in. I'm going to see what the challenge is, and you see who all is there. I think that was the one thing I remember more than anything, was seeing the quality of people that I was now confronted with and I had to compete with technically for
Right.
this job. So
Because now it's 1% of the 1%.
it is. It's you're down to like a negative percent. If you want to add it up numbers wise for guys that probably shouldn't be there or want to get out of the military, but this is they want to go do something different. They're doing something harder or something. In their minds, I feel like everybody that I was around had gone as far as they could, and they wanted to take that next step up or see if they could take that next step up.
How old were you?
24.
24. So that's kind of old,
25.
actually, wasn't it? For getting into that.
No, I was really young, actually. Everybody else was, well, not everybody. There was one guy there that was with me that was younger than I was. But most of the guys were in their 30s, early 30s. Yeah, late 20s, early 30s, even some getting into their mid 30s and almost 40. Because if you can make it, you can make it. There is an age cutoff. I can't actually remember what the cutoff was, but the important part of that is if you are in good enough shape and you're qualified to be there, you have the time and grade and you have the time and service with the right amount of combat deployments, and you can go, and you can either embarrass yourself or do really well, whichever one you want to do. And I think I saw both. I saw people walk out within the first hour of being there because it got hard quick. And then I saw other guys that made it until the very end. I thought we're going to make it and didn't get cut through something stupid, board or whatever.
Yeah. So you said board. So Ranger School, Delta School, a little bit about that. How long is it?
The selection portion or the school?
School.
School's 6 months. It's your training course is 6 months
Right.
long.
And so it ends with a horrific week, right? So it's called Bloody Thursday. And then your
That's
40 miler?
that's a selection event.
Okay.
Selection does, yeah. I mean, selections it's different. Selection's a month long, and your training once you make it through selection is 6
Then
months.
you're 6 months. Okay.
Yeah.
So on the selection part, I know Grant was talking about it earlier. You've got Bloody Thursday. What is that?
I think it's just a name for a day that a lot of people get cut. I think it's it's always difficult or always sensitive talking about selection because it's a secretive process. So you hate to give away.
Well, don't tell me if you're going to have to kill me.
There's
We're
no
just gonna-
spoilers. It's just there's no secret. One day gets harder than the next, and I think that's the compilation of time and days you've got up to that point. If you weren't doing well, everybody gets cut at once instead of having to cut each person individually on different days, which they could do also. It's just, hey, by this date, we're cutting this many guys because they haven't met the time standards. So I think that's that's why they call it Bloody Thursday, because it is. A lot of people go on that same day. Grant can vouch for me on this one.
Yeah. And then the 40 miler starts right after that.
Not
Soon after that.
it's soon after. Yeah.
And what is that exactly?
It's a long gut check walk that you're by yourself and your thoughts. I'm sure anybody that's ever gone on a long hike can, kind of empathize.
North Carolina in the swamps?
Yeah, it's everywhere. You go over a lot of different terrain actually in 40 miles, more than you would imagine you could find in 40 miles for sure. There's snow and mountains and dirt roads and creeks and paths. And, it's different, I guess, if you're used to it. If you were coming from, say, Arizona and you went somewhere like that, it's a wake up call, I would imagine, because it's not hot. It's very cold. It's very humid. So it's a wet cold. And you just by yourself. There's no one to motivate you. And there's two types of motivation. There's the positive, feedback, you're doing great. And there's, hey, you're a piece of shit, go faster. Both are motivation. You get none of that. So if you don't have it and you start getting slow and feeling sorry for yourself, you're done.
Well, you get one of those if you're married.
True. That's a good point.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to say which one.
Yeah. One or the other.
Sometimes both.
Or sometimes both. But I think that, again, it was a long gut check by yourself, over a very long period of time with a heavy ruck.
So you're running through that, and then all of a sudden you're doing overseas deployments. And you want to talk anything about that?
Yeah. I mean, deployments, what's not.
How many?
Total? 14, 15.
Wow.
Total. But again, what's deployment? Is deployment 4 or 5 months, or can a deployment be a month? Because we've got short ones too. We go 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time.
Overseas in the theater.
Well, in that case, it could keep going. But for the most part, you're deploying, every year at least once, if not twice a year. So if you're there for 10 years, you should have about 20 deployments. If you're there for longer, you've got more. Unless you're in a teaching billet, or something like that. If you stay inside of an operational squadron, you're running. And that was during the heat of the war. Everybody's out. Rangers out, SF's out, units out, SEALs are out, everybody's out. So no one's back home. Everyone's deploying. And if you're not, you got to wonder why.
Right. So, somebody has to fix the trucks. What would you want people to know? Because, as we all found out in the last several years, if you've been awake at all, not woke, but awake, that, the media is giving us a very controlled narrative on what's actually happening in the world. So if you wanted to have an open forum to say, hey, this is what I saw that I think Americans should know, what would that be?
I mean, I think it's, at least the problem is you're a product of your environment and the crowd that you're around. So it's easy to all agree with each other when we're sitting in the same room. We know we have the same beliefs.
Well, we're correct.
We are. I
Yes,
feel like
that's
I'm right.
That's why we agree with it.
And everyone else
Agreed.
feels like they're right also. But I've been around enough people.
They might feel like they're right.
But I know they're not. And I hear
Exactly.
them talk and I know they're not. And the difference with a lot of people, I hate to pick on a department. All right. It's a department in the government. They have desk officers.
Is there like 50 of them in the United States? Oops, said the word.
Just saying. We'll call this
That's why I'm not in
department
the CIA.
a department of I'm sure there are good folks, but they don't have the practical knowledge that a lot of us would have by being somewhere. So say Grant goes to Egypt, right?
They have
Or I go
Google.
to Egypt.
No, dude, they got Wikipedia, and you think your
And this is
ground game's got something
But this
on
is
that?
the problem. This is the issue is they think, well, I heard about this, I saw this, I read this report. As good as intelligence reports are, no matter what department they come from,
It's dated.
it's flawed, and it's an opinion, no matter what you do. You can't write something down. You can't write something. You can't write something. I can't write something without putting our opinion down. It comes out.
I wrote down Delta Dawn.
Well,
Delta Dan.
Dan,
Well, I don't know. Same thing. He self-identifies as Delta Dawn too. Anyway,
Delta
so
Donna.
what exactly is a self-licking ice cream cone?
a self-licking ice cream cone. So this would be an organization that creates its own work to be relevant in order to continue itself and live in its environment. So it
It's
doesn't
like
get shut down.
a three-letter agency.
Exactly. It causes problems to fix the problem, if that makes sense. They want to make sure that there are problems in order they can continue to fix the problems. Because if not, they're out of a job.
We won't say the name, but it sounds like CIA.
You can start guessing thriller agencies. So you could probably put this analogy with any of them if you really wanted to. I think that as a whole, we can all agree that the government's gotten huge, massive. That includes all of our three-letter agencies, and their grasp or reach now is not just internationally. It's you see it. We've all seen it, and it's not something to not. It's not something to be afraid of necessarily, but you should know. For people that have traveled, like I was out in the Arab Spring in the heat of everything that was going on over there. No one likes America in Africa and the Middle East. They just don't. There are people that do.
And the more we talk about people who've been out there like you, we realize maybe there's a reason they don't like us sometimes.
There is a reason. I mean, we meddle in a lot of people's shit, and I don't necessarily think we should pull back to the United States, put walls up, and never talk to anyone again. That's impractical. We have planes and Google.
So we can import falafels. We're good.
But I mean, we can't get away from the diversity we've created, and we did it. We are a nation of immigrants, and I think it's awesome. It's to the point now where everyone hates us because we've made it work, and they don't know how. So if you go to pick any country, for the majority of countries you would go to, they don't have our melting pot society. They just don't. The majority of people, in Spain are Spanish.
They're still the same tribe.
Very homogenized.
That's right, and it's just
that's a whole nother thing with like Norway. When people talk about crime statistics or all that stuff over in Norway and some of those Nordic countries, Finnish, Danish, they're like 98% homogenized, and it just is a succession.
Yes,
going back hundreds of thousands of years.
They were until the last influx.
Right.
Hey, folks, Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. We'll be right back after this with Delta Dan and Grant Quezada.
That was already it.
9.5. Actually, that was more than that.
It was 9
You need your 12 seconds back.
9 minutes and 52 seconds.
See, you got him.
Got to get it back.
Sorry to interrupt. I apologize.
2 minutes, 20 seconds on this segment.
Right. Where's the toxic shirt? Can you throw that over to him?
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely.
And the hat. You're gonna flip that up here. Maybe my hand model.
Swag.
Exactly.
I like your new shirts. You want me to say that? Got some new swag.
Good
Swag.
quality.
What does a toxic actually mean? I don't get that.
It's a warning label for
As a
soy
minority,
boys.
as an American minority, what is toxic
It's
mean?
a warning label. People are worried about toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
So you just have to tell them up front, it's over here.
Toxic, yeah.
Yeah. Just
Man,
Can't help it.
I just want to warn you. I don't want your soy cone to melt. Let's just move on.
Well, I feel like they wear warning devices also. I mean, they wear rainbow flags and things like that. I understand that that's a warning for me, not to get into a discussion.
Gauge earrings.
Yeah, cage
Yes.
rings.
But I just you ever get
The
grabbed?
bull rings are always there too. That's a good one.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
My nose would run all day.
How do you blow your nose? What do you do? You get in a fight. That's the first thing I'm grabbing. First thing.
Exactly.
It's gone.
Well, I remember in the mosh pit, this guy had the big old rooster tail earring. It
It's gone.
was on the
Gone.
floor.
That's his fault.
Yeah.
Be aware.
And he's looking at it. He's looking at me. I'm like, dude, sucks.
Don't wear your earrings in the mosh pit, man. I'll tell you. Wear your
do.
plugs.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell they put in their ears.
Anyway, that was 100 years
bunch
ago.
of betas.
All right. 10 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, you say. Hey, folks, Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. Welcome back here. We have over here, I have my hand model, Grant Quezada, and he's showing up this fantastic new version of our shirt. This is our toxic masculinity shirt. It's a warning. If you're in an area like, say, California, where people are sensitive and you're walking around and you want to make sure that you don't offend anybody, it's kind of like your own personal buffer zone. You're just telling them, hey, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Hey, this is the way it is. Don't come too close. Your soy might melt, and that's an important thing that you want to watch out for.
Yeah, I would say the great thing about it is by wearing it, you actually get your 6 feet of social distancing.
Exactly.
So
Built in.
there's a safety net.
Chicks dig it.
included.
It's like a scar.
Yeah.
And then we also have our hats. So our hats, we have our Atlas, which is the Atlas holding up a
Yeah.
EOA reticle here. So instead of holding up the world, he's holding up our reticle for us, making it steady so we can make our shots. So that's all at firinglineradio.com. Check it out there. We also have a bunch of, product codes and discounts, but that you've already heard in our last session here. So yeah, and the shirt I'm wearing here, as my producer just pointed out, long distance, next best thing to being there. Used to be a phone company. Now it's Sniper Creed.
That's
So
pretty good.
anyway, They're all available there. So, hey, let's get back here to talk about you guys, because that's way better than my stupid commercials. So, both of you have been overseas. Both of you have been taking care of business on the bad guy front. And modern warfare in the last 20 years has changed dramatically, has it not?
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think drones are a great example of what
Drones.
I think everybody knows and they're familiar with without getting too far into the weeds. I think drones used to be something that were, talked about in passing. And then we were the ones that had them. America had a lot of ISR drones, unmanned aircraft, and now they're prolific. Everybody can get one. You can go buy a DJI tonight. So all those things have been morphed and transformed in the military for us to use as civilians. But that's where it starts.
Under Obama's watch, didn't one of our special drones just land in Iran?
Accidentally.
Mhm.
Yep, sure did.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, how'd that happen?
I don't know exactly how that happened. I do know China got a hold of one. All the players have gotten one of our drones.
The good news is that now that
Yeah,
China's
yeah.
got one, I can just go buy one on
Got to
eBay.
share the technology.
I just love they make things so crappy. No matter what, if they try to recreate it, it's going to be shit anyway.
Wobble, wobble, wobble.
So it's it's not going to be as effective as
It
ours.
ain't Japanese.
Yeah.
Those guys are crushing it.
That's right.
Yeah. So drone warfare. So the surveillance capabilities are amazing.
Yes. I mean, what I've seen from watching ISR for thousands of hours is the quality of ISR go from shit garbage granular to you can see a booger.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty. I mean, it's pretty significant change when you're looking for someone.
Was that a booger on a nose ring?
A booger on a nose ring, yeah, or a gauge in an ear. You could also see those, from the
Yep.
sky.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, print on a shirt from a mile away.
That's
They've
right.
got
Read it.
a mile away.
Oh, easy. Yeah,
You can read this a mile away.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Unbelievable.
pretty crazy.
Yep. You can look for. I mean, you're always looking for, physical tells, or I mean, they got 4 fingers instead of 5. All those things.
So it's an optical magnifier. So it magnifies and then clarifies. Magnifies
At the same time, I think the digital part is the clarification. The optical part gets you the feed. Optical part gets you the distance, and the digital fixes it, makes it look better.
Of course, then you throw in thermal, so you really
Oh man,
everything stands out.
if you, I remember back when we thought the Clue for the Javelin was the coolest thermal ever made because you could see a mouse running across a field. Well, now you can do that with ISR. I mean, every ISR aircraft we have up has thermals on it. You could do that. So it's not new anymore. That's old. The Clue's old shit now.
So
And now the new shit is the.
So here's something I found with the Ukraine-Russia war right now, because we're talking about modern warfare, but I found it fascinating that because Ukraine and Russia, what's going on right now is the first time in the history of mankind where the modern typical average citizen can actually watch what's going on in real time. But what's even more important is that your standard individual that has no real ties with military or intelligence communities or anything like that are in real time actually swaying what the news cycles are reading or feeding to the public for the 24 to 72 hours. So you're seeing individuals on the private sector that are actually reporting or carrying stories that are actually dictating what's happening on the battle space, which is fascinating, which has never happened before. And so you're sitting watching real battles happen between Ukraine and Russia, and then the private sector step in, guys like us who are just out there with a drone or a camera, and they're actually creating narratives that will follow in a news cycle for 24 to 48 or 72 hours and make micro adjustments within what's going on in the war, which is, it's pretty unbelievable.
So the other thing I think that is out there is a lot of people, what were they telling me? They're saying that the guys without night vision were getting killed by the guys with night vision, and the guys with night vision were getting killed by the guys with thermals.
We had thermals and night vision, and it just, once again, it was like a choice, like mission capable. Do I want to wear thermals? Do I want to wear, or I have regular night vision, white phosphorus, whatever it might be. I can flex and just pull out a thermal if I want.
You've also got thermal overlays on MVGs too.
Yeah.
So you have, they're
So
called
you get the
the
best
fusion
of both
goggles. So you have the best of both. So
It-
really, I mean, there's some that are suited more for MVGs. Some I would say some missions are, especially inside in buildings. Quick reaction. Snipers love thermals because you can see people from miles and miles and miles. You can't hide.
Burn
Can't hide
out
in
your
smoke.
eye.
Can't hide in the brush. I mean, there are ways to hide now, and people know how to do that, and they figured it out. But for the most part,
Yeah.
your slow burn stuff is thermals, and your fast stuff is
Then your eye doesn't recover for like 2 hours, 3
From
hours.
thermal.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's white light in your eye for hours,
Yep.
Yep.
So
as long as you're looking through it.
So is that why you go out with tinfoil on?
every time. I mean, you pretty much need
Tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah,
More
backpack.
than a
usually,
hat.
yeah.
It's well, yeah, as we talked about going commando, right? But you still have the tinfoil on the inside, so that's important.
You need the tinfoil.
It keeps you from getting microwaved. That's an
Yep.
important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that I hear this a lot. I mean, the Second Amendment community, which I'm a proud part of, I hear guys say a lot, "Hey, man, they're not coming for my guns," right? And I don't really think that as an individual, most of us realize the capabilities that are out there in our federal government. If they wanted to do something, Dan?
Well, I mean, there's not much you can do about it. I mean, the federal government can do, I mean, if you're breaking the law and they can figure out how to get to you, there's not much you can do to stop it. I mean, we love to think, oh, I'll get my compound. No, you can't. They have helicopters and they have thermals and they have everything you can imagine that you don't have, they've got 10 times the amount. And it's better.
And time and money.
And they've got time and the money and they can wait you out. I mean, they're patient. And the problem is that we're not going to stand, 80,000 people strong in some big wall on like storming a castle. It's going to be your house, my house. We're
Right.
separated. You can't support each other.
Yeah.
They know that. Like if they really wanted your guns or my guns, other than hiding them somewhere, I can't stop them.
Yeah. The only, I
3:30
think,
in the morning, you get a flashbang, and
Yeah.
yeah. And
that's
we
your wake up.
this is something we did for decades,
It
and,
works.
and there's tens of thousands of other guys like us. I think the only thing we have in our favor is that the federal government really doesn't have the manpower or the training to actually carry it out at a macro level. So they get away with it at a micro level. And of course they're policing, but if it got to a point where we all, we're always playing the what if game of the crazy side of the government turns on the people, but it'd be hard pressed to see how thin they can actually stretch themselves to carry out something like that on Operation.
You say the government turning on its people. Well, when is that going to happen? When does that ever happen?
History.
I'm starting to say history, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Capitol Hill. I mean, they're talking about the riots on Capitol Hill. They've gone after every single person that was even remotely in the vicinity of that, to the point where they've shut their businesses down, taken their money, taking their retirement checks. I mean, there was retired guys up there that were losing retirement checks. There's, active duty people up there who threatened to get kicked out. I mean, there's a couple of them coming to our shop at home. So we talked to these folks. I had no idea they were coming after them so hard. And it's been nonstop. I mean, think about how many resources that takes to go after one individual for that long.
Well, you think about it. I mean, it was absolutely terrible. The doors getting opened by the police, and the stand down of the police, letting them walk through, and then coming back and calling it a riot. I mean, the one person died, right? Ashley Babbitt,
Yeah,
shot by the Capitol Police,
correct.
who under oath said she wasn't a threat, and nothing happened to him.
I mean, let's take it back to Ruby Ridge. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. If they think they're in the right and they can prove it, there's not much you can
You
do
know
to
what?
say
I want to
otherwise.
talk about Ruby Ridge and Lon Horiuchi and all the great stuff that happened under the last time Clinton was president. We're going to do that when we come back on our last segment here. But let's just wrap this one out. I want people to think about capabilities, electronic capabilities, right? We're sitting here and we say, you know what? Like you have a barbershop. This is the best shaving cream I've ever used. And all of a sudden I've got on my ad stream on my phone. So the surveillance state is so alive and well, all the way down to ads every single time at the end of the month, your Gmail account says, oh, by the way, here's where you've been all month, right?
Yeah.
You didn't even tell them to do that. So the level of surveillance, I think, is an important thing. We do not have privacy in this state, either by corporate institutions or by the government. And you're crazy if you think it does exist. You really are under surveillance all the time. And that's why I have my tinfoil hat on. Folks, Philip Naiman, Firing Line Radio Show. Go to firinglineradio.com. We'll be right back after this.
I'll tell you something, this opinion.
Yeah.
They have
This
talked
is
us.
recorded.
Oh, okay, that's fine. They have talked us into carrying our own tracking devices.
Yeah.
You ever heard the story of hey, make them feel like it's their idea? That's the best way to talk someone into something is make it feel like it's their idea.
Let me tell you this. On the way in here today,
That's what's happening.
I'm listening to an audio book by somebody I was told was one of the most crazy people in the world, Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, it's probably a fascinating book.
I mean, I think I've
Got
watched every
genius.
documentary on Ted
He has
Kaczynski.
nailed where we are today.
Yeah.
This was written in 1995, and they wrote him off as psycho. But he was talking
Oh, he's
about...
batshit crazy. Let's not get that.
Well, he's a murderer.
He is.
Yeah.
But he was spot on in his book in 1995 about where we are today.
100%.
Where Kaczynski was the Unabomber.
Unabomber,
Yeah.
yeah.
A great art. I mean, a great docuseries right now on Netflix. If you haven't seen it for Kaczynski, it's good.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's on it's on YouTube. It says they're reading his audiobook.
Remember who's the Oklahoma City bomber guy? You guys know the
McVeigh.
backstory of that?
McVeigh, Timothy
You
McVeigh.
guys know the backstory of that?
I don't
I know
know.
guys
I
who
don't
are
know
on
if
the
I.
investigative
Oh
team.
man,
for
here's the crazy backstory. So, you guys remember that movie Tom Cruise a couple years ago?
that. You're good with this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's going to bring into the Clintons here.
Easy.
Yeah, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
Well, we're
I know
okay
their
as
hit
long as there's
list.
not kids
That's a knife
involved.
in the sleep
As long
right
as there's not
there.
Kids
Yeah.
involved too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No, but we're recording, so.
Yeah, I'll dodge that. We'll talk offline
Yeah.
because it's not a lot of people.
The funny thing
you
is,
just realize our government does such a good job of very proactively hiding the truth from us. You know, like
Well, yeah, I know guys who are on the. I don't know them. I know their partners. Oklahoma City PD. I mean,
Yeah.
with CCW Safe, some of them were working that day. Matter of fact, my partner on their podcast series, he was activated at the bombing. He was in cadet class, right? He was activated that day to go out there and start doing stuff. And they did catch McVeigh on a hotel surveillance camera, park the truck and walk it up or drive it up. So I mean,
Yeah.
they do have that. I don't know all the backstory. I'm really fascinated.
I'll tell you after all this.
Yeah, but I
no
you
more.
know, it doesn't seem. Yeah, it doesn't seem to me that it's just him and Terry Nichols. Yeah.
Nope.
On that, 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Was that on the audio? You recorded that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm just saying, I start just thinking.
You and your free food.
Uh-huh.
nothing like free food.
Just join the army. You get all the free food you want.
Yeah, lots.
Right?
Well, you don't go to the Army, go to the Coast Guard. They still got free food. Navy too.
My buddy went to the Navy, that's what he was going, he wanted to go SF, do all that stuff, and then he realized that he had tested and then went back.
I feel like there's people that go in the military for legacy because their parents were there or their grandparents or somebody they respected were there. People that go in because they want to fight or they want to do something hard. And then people want to go for benefits. And what confuses me is why people want to
Those guys
go.
Get promoted. The last one.
They get promoted. Not only they get promoted, but they go into like the Coast Guard or the Air Force. They just want money for college. There's nothing wrong with that. And they end up staying because it's so easy.
Yeah.
It is. It's easy. They put you in this pattern of life. You get paid pretty freaking well. And
Yep.
your house paid for. You never always have a house. You always have food. You always have medical. And you can stay until pretty much they kick you out as long as you don't do anything stupid. It's that easy.
So I was I was having this conversation with my wife the other day because she's a social worker at the VA, and she deals obviously with a lot of veterans and predominantly just combat veterans. But we were talking about this is like a recent kind of epiphany aha moment regarding PTSD and how our minds transition. And so if you take a young kid at 18, 19, and especially in the last 20 years, you thrust them into warfare. At one level, literally everything is done for you, and everything is told on how to do it and execute it properly, and you're getting paid. Everything's taken care of you. So you're almost completely reliant on the system. And then the complete opposite or polar to that is you are put into situations where you have the most amount of responsibility you will ever have in your life, period. Especially when you're talking at like levels that we've worked at, or within the special operations community, of like the amount of responsibility you deal with. So you take a guy like that, and this isn't applicable to everybody, but you take, let's say your typical individual that serves for 20 years or something, and they leave that system, there's a stunted level of growth or almost arrested development of how they can assimilate back into normal culture because their entire life has been in this system. It's regimented. It's very much like, and I don't want to say you're in a prison, but institutionalized. And so I was telling my wife a couple of nights ago, I'm like, you were pretty much my saving grace. And it was a reality I kind of came to a couple of nights ago, but it's like, because we were married the entire time of my career in the military, I was able to have one foot in civilian life. And so I had some level of consistency, and then I could still go out and do everything I was doing in the military, but it forced me to still deal with normal life compared to if I just jumped in full throttle and my entire military experience was single, like a lot of our peers, especially at lower ranking or younger guys, and they do their going at 17, 18, they just do 4 or 5 years and they get out. Those are the most formative years in a young man's life. You know, most men don't mature until 27. You know, that's the average age. So you have the most formative years of figuring out what it's like to be an adult, and it's immediately stunted by a mass amount of responsibility, but like a complete reliance on the system.
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting.
The human species loves structure.
Yeah.
And as a species, we love structure. You tell us what to do, and we assimilate that.
Just like
Well, there's
Dorado.
nothing
As a whole.
structured like
But
that.
the-
and then you lose all that. It's a culture shock.
Yeah.
But inside those group of people that do love structure, they're ones that don't, and they like to lead. And they're like,
Yeah,
I don't
couldn't
want to
structure,
do
man.
what I'm told. I want to lead somebody, or I want to do something I want to do. And it takes a lot to break out of that mold that you've been put into. If you want to, you can. If you don't, you won't. And some people would nothing more to be a leader or to do something on their own. They're too scared to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the military does a good job of teaching you how to do that. I think they teach you how to be reliant on them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Go ask Gunny. I don't know. Go ask the Master. I don't know. Go ask our major. Like, it's always go ask somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, I can figure it out. I know I can.
Yeah.
And you don't know that until you're stuck by yourself. But you wouldn't be in that instance if they could help it. If they could make sure that you listen to everything, if they could put a bug in your ear and talk to you every second of the day, they would do it. They just can't. They have to let you go at some time,
Yeah.
at some point in time.
Yeah, and there's a different mindset too between. I mean, there really is, you know, different mindset or mentality, especially over the last 20 years, of guys like us who proactively went into special operations, knowing, hey, I'm going in because I want to freaking slay some bodies, and
Yeah.
I want to be the best I can be around the best group of men I can be around, the most high functioning, athletic, driven, intellectual minds you'll ever be around, compared to, hey, I just want to go into work around computers and I want to get out of maybe a shitty situation, and I know this is going to set me up for success, which is great. I mean, that's a very healthy reason to go in. But in lieu of the last 20 years in just combat, it's a total different mindset of talking to our peers, and then you talk to guys that maybe did not have the opportunity like we did, and you realize psychologically they're a lot more damaged than a lot of us and our peers. So
I mean, the odd thing about, just in the military in general is you have 5 people that experience the same thing,
Yeah.
and all treat it 5 different ways. All 5 of those people will have different issues or lack of issues. And I don't know. It's just people in general are different,
Yep.
but they don't prepare you for that. I don't think the military doesn't prepare you to be yourself. Prepares you to be
No.
what they want you to be.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Like any good company,
otherwise you'd have total chaos.
you're absolutely right. Somebody's got to lead the hounds.
yeah.
Right.
Hey, folks, welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. Philip Naiman. Get our podcast at firinglineradio.com or our YouTube channel, strangely enough, under Firing Line Radio. So July 2nd out here in Prescott, you're going to have Ryan Weaver. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Ryan Weaver's a good buddy of ours. He he's a retired Army pilot, Black Hawk, spent 21 years. 2 brothers, a younger and an older
And now
brother.
Now he's a famous country
Yeah,
singer.
now he's a country singer, lives in Nashville. He's played at Madison Square Garden. His entire family serves. So he's got 2 brothers, an older brother and a younger brother, who are both pilots, both in Ranger Regiment. He's got a brother-in-law who served, who was a pilot. And so he's going to be coming out here with his band July 2nd, which is Saturday. He'll be playing at 9:00 at Prescott Mile High Middle School. The city's doing 3 nights of different
it's 4th of
musicians,
July,
country
it's a very
musicians. Yeah.
patriotic
Yeah.
place here. That's awesome. And then also, folks, as I mentioned in our second segment here, on the 17th, July 17th at Rahagis, Raahauges, is the Youth Safari Day. So you're going to have a great time out there in Corona, Rahagis. Youth Safari Day, they have everything from teaching kids how to shoot shotguns to fishing to carving, anything to do with the outdoors, they're there. So go to rahauges.com, Rahauges, the common spelling, rahauges.com. For more information on that, I believe that's the 17th. I'll be out there too, so that's going to be another great day. Hey, Ryan Weaver. Now, Weaver. Oh, that's right. We want to talk about Randy Weaver and Ruby Ridge. Now, for those of you who are younger than me, which is like
both of us.
97% of the population. Thank you for that.
Everyone in this room.
Yeah.
It's true.
Probably
I could
everybody
father
in this
everybody
building.
this room. You kind of look familiar.
Oh, no. All the good hair.
So this was 92, I believe. Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 1992 under Clinton and under Janet Reno, they decided that they were going to beef up the ATF. It seems that every time these radicals get in the government, they beef up the ATF, whether it's Operation Fast and Furious, where 2,500 high-powered weapons go to the Mexican cartels under Obama, and Eric Holder says, so what? And we end up with dead Border Patrol agents and hundreds of dead Mexicans.
That was also verbatim. So what? That was his exact comment. So what?
Sounds
very,
like
very-
Hillary
very
Clinton.
similar,
Does.
yeah. So at this point, Senator, what difference does it make? Yeah, wonderful person there. You might have known a little bit about that. But anyway, so the ATF tries to get this guy to roll over on a white supremacist group that he's not even a member of, right?
Correct.
And so they get an informant in there, and he says, hey, man, can you cut down my shot? Because I don't want to. Like 10 times, he tells the guy, go away. Randy Weaver is an isolationist. He just didn't want to deal with anybody. He built a little cabin in the middle of nowhere, Ruby Ridge, Idaho. Literally nowhere. No way in, no way out. Absolutely by himself, doing absolutely nothing, right? And the ATF puts him to the press, and still he won't roll over on these people because he's like, I'm not with them. I'm not in their group. So they just decide that they're going to surveil him and drop a warrant on him. And why don't you pick up the story from there?
I mean, I think what happens, at least the way I feel about it, and I think I've read every book and seen every documentary you could possibly see. I think it's they created a story.
Yeah.
It didn't go as planned. And instead of answering for it not going as planned, they forced him into a bad situation. And they go do a raid on his house, his home, knowing his family is there and expecting to take live shots into this tiny cabin, which I think was like under 1,000 square feet.
Yep.
It was tiny.
It's little.
And what, 6 windows in the cabin, 1,000 square feet. And now you've got snipers in the woods preparing to take shots on someone that's not even armed. His son was outside.
Yep.
And I think
So
his son
his
may have had a
son-
rifle.
His son and one of their friends, they had a rifle with
That's right.
them, and they had
Mind you, they
dog.
live in the middle of nowhere. And everybody has guns. Everybody in the woods carries guns.
There's
because
grizzly bears up
There's
there.
bear everywhere.
After my run in with a grizzly bear, you carrying a rifle.
Not to mention, if you come on someone's property like where I'm from, and if they have a gun, haven't announced themselves, they're getting shot at before I even ask questions. Why are you where I live? No one is here with a gun.
Yep.
You can't have good intentions.
So the dog finds these guys who are sneaking in trying to do surveillance.
Correct.
You know, the dog's pretty good, right?
Yep.
Dog surveils them. They kill the dog.
Yep.
So the first
That starts it.
instance is the feds, FBI, kill this guy's dog. The kid turns around and shoots at the Fed.
That's right.
Did he hit him?
Didn't hit him.
Yeah.
No.
They kill the kid.
Yep. So none of the
Eight-year-old.
feds got hurt. Nope. None of them got hurt at all.
8-year-old, I think.
Yes, he was under 8
Yeah.
or 10, something like that. He was young.
So they shoot the kid who shot at them because they shot his dog on a situation they created. Kill him. Wound is the other guy who didn't have a firearm.
That's right. The other,
They-
his friend.
They crawl into the cabin,
Yep.
and now there's the siege.
Now they're taking the house down. So now they're going into full-on assault of this cabin.
But it lasted a week,
It did.
an entire week. And so later on, one of the snipers there, his name was Lon Horiuchi, I believe was the name. FBI sniper. If
Yeah,
I'm-
sorry, FBI.
yeah.
Yeah,
Shot Randy Weaver's wife
correct.
And
While she
newborn
was holding
baby,
her
right?
child.
in the
Yeah,
head
newborn baby, right?
Yep.
while she's opening up the screen
a
door,
baby, yeah.
trying to get people inside because they don't know the federal government's knocking on their door.
Well, here, let's just go ahead and throw this out there, though. I don't care what sniper school you go to or what school you go to. If there's no firearm
Yeah.
present, you can't shoot anyone, period.
Well,
Even more so in the States than it would be for
You
us overseas.
can if you're that guy.
You can, and you can get away with it. That's
oh,
what,
yeah.
that's what, had that been any of us in
That
any
was
other
his-
circumstance,
Right.
if we'd done that in the
But
military.
he was working for Janet Reno. That's
Correct.
different. He was on a kill team.
That's right.
And I think he also showed up in Waco.
He
Same
was
guy, huh?
at Waco.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah, it's funny how that goes. Yeah, but again, it's government and politics, and their reach to get someone out of trouble when they see it benefiting them is you can't stop it. But
So-
for us,
So here's what happens now. I'm sorry, but this every day, if I think about this, gives me nuts. I don't think about it every day, but every time. The lady, the Randy Weaver's wife, shot in the face, dies, baby falls to the floor, body falls inside. Okay, I think this was day 1 or day 2,
it was the first day.
all first day.
Yep, I'm pretty sure.
They drag her inside. Now they're inside. They have Randy. His son is dead. His friend is wounded. His daughter, he may have had 2 daughters, but one of his daughters for sure was in there. And for 4 or 5 days, they stayed in there with their dead mom on the ground because they were under siege, shot in the face, laying there. You want to talk about some trauma?
And they can't come out with their hands up. They're afraid they'll get shot.
There's bullets flying all
Yeah.
over.
So now they're stuck. I mean, they're not saying, "Hey, come out with your hands up." I mean, nothing of the sort.
Nope.
They left them no option. And all they're thinking is, this is the government. I don't have any guns. Why can they shoot me?
This is the government I didn't want anything to do with, so I moved way the heck up here.
That's right. They
after me.
came anyway. And what's funny is you talk about, I don't think he didn't have a history of sawing shotguns off.
No.
They were trying to pull him into something.
They
So he
wanted
would
him.
roll
Yeah.
on that equipment that he wasn't a part of.
Exactly.
They were trying to make him do something illegal that you could chop your shotgun down in your garage with a hacksaw. You don't need someone to do that
The
for
guy
you.
could have done it himself.
And he knew it was stupid. He's like, I'm not doing that crap. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, you see, like you said, if they want it, they're coming. And there's nothing you could do about it.
Yeah, there's an interesting, outside of that, the very interesting psychology of like, because we've been there when you're on your teams and you're doing your missions, but you're so amped up and you're not fed the right story. And so for those
Yeah,
guys,
you don't know what the briefing was.
no. And so it just trickles down.
They could have
and so
said,
they're
this
getting
guy-
the briefing. Who knows what the
This
briefing is
guy
they
owned
get.
an island and had a bunch of pedophiles on it. Oh wait, sorry, wrong
Yeah,
Clinton
yeah.
story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It could have been.
But you're there and you're amped up. And the other thing too, especially for guys like that, when you realize they really don't see the action that we might see at our level, so that the discretion might not be there as much as is for something like we're used to seeing, where you're seeing hundreds and hundreds of missions of doing the exact same. I wouldn't say repetition. It is repetitions, you
Yeah.
know, but you're seeing different problem solving techniques, different scenarios, and you learn to have that type of. Go ahead.
What happens is you learn tactical patience. If
Exactly.
you do it over and over again, you learn that I can be patient and let this play out. I don't have to rush anything.
No.
Tactical patience.
And tactical patience is the key to not getting killed or killing the wrong person, I would say.
Yeah,
If you want to put
absolutely.
one word or one phrase on it, tactical patience is what gets you to the X.
It's kind of funny. There's a meme going out right now where somebody's talking on a phone and says, like he's hired his hitman for the first day.
Yep.
And he says, "Hey, okay, see the guy with the red shirt?" Guy goes, "That's my son. Don't shoot him." He's like, "Oh,
Tactical patience.
Yeah, but on that note, as a sniper, I don't know how many times I would be in a situation looking eyes on one target, see somebody else in another area with a rifle, and you realize, okay, I'm going to slow down and wait just for a second because that guy just woke up because he heard a bunch of people 500 yards away. So he's just doing the responsible thing as a concerned citizen. And you slow down just because for a microsecond, you know, as fast as your brain processes.
Bad guy gun.
This guy walks out. The gun's not even in a threatening position. It's down by his side. He's sleepy. He's rubbing his eyes. And so you can sit and watch, observe, and you're like, okay, well, he's no threat. I'll be aware of what's over there, but I don't need to shoot the guy.
Well, the difference is like even in Ruby Ridge, they had all the time in the world.
Yeah.
The house is completely cordoned. They can't get out. You don't need to shoot anybody yet. They haven't shot at you other than that one single shot to start with. They haven't shot at you yet.
Yeah.
So now that they're in the house, no one has fired back. They're not shooting back yet. So
well, that was the Janet Reno, Bill Clinton, Justice Department, almost as corrupt as the Eric Holder and Barack Obama.
Here's a question. Was Ruby Ridge a precursory event?
Before Waco.
to Waco.
Not to Waco, but before Clinton came for the assaults weapon ban? There's a question for you. Just thinking
I
about
don't
it.
remember the time.
It was. It was
Was it?
92.
As an example of what.
Right. So I'm just saying, like, interestingly enough, like right now, what you happen to have with some of the shootings that
Oh,
happen,
absolutely.
it's like these precursory events that play out to where it's like, oh, it's the government's right to come in and take firearms.
Create a problem so you
Very,
create an answer.
Self-licking ice cream cone.
Oh.
Self-licking ice cream cone.
Self-licking ice cream cone. There we go, folks. Folks, Philip Naiman, Friday Night Radio Show. I want to thank Delta Dan and Grant Quesada, Founding Fathers Collective. You guys are awesome. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Philip.